So I know this video is probably a bit late since I started working on it only last week, but a new Star Wars is coming out, or is already out, or whatever, I don't know, this video is still in the making. And everyone is super excited. What? No? There was barely any hype for the Rise of Skywalker? Well, to me there can be only one culprit. The Last Jedi. With all the reviews that I watched, whether they be positive or negative, none of them sounded like they were particularly hyped for the next big Star Wars movie. And as soon as The Last Jedi came out, all speculation online stopped almost immediately. Which was a shame, since it was so much fun to basically have hundreds of hours of Star Wars content outside the movies. Well, you may say that it's a waste of time, but to that I say, time enjoyed is no time wasted. On the other hand, it probably would have been a good idea to use some of that time to pay my taxes. But frick it, I didn't pay my taxes last year either, and I'm not gonna do it this year. And that's not what this video is about. This video is about how the Rise of Skywalker can bring the people who hated The Last Jedi back, maybe, without slapping the people that liked it across the ass in a way they did not consent to. But if you're like me and think the only way to make up for the sins of The Last Jedi is to give a free blowjob during the entire movie, sending us home with a perfect lifelong waifu and scrapping The Last Jedi from canon, alas, that's not possible. For my swans has never been defiled by female deception, and I'm not about to stop protecting my virginity for a movie, and canon is canon and we can change that. And if there's something wrong with you and you don't think the release of The Last Jedi is up there with the fall of the Roman Empire or a communist takeover in Russia, and think Star Wars shouldn't be catering to an annoying, loud and quote-unquote tiny minority, well, the box office of Solo and the merchandise sales records disagree with you. So whether you like The Last Jedi or you're right, something needs to change to get the Star Wars brand back rolling again. And I will be your civil, unbiased guide in this process. So let's first establish what the things were that people had a huge problem with. In alphabetical order, based on the third letter of the problem in the way that I chose to write them: the gambling planet, Luke became a cunt, Holdo was annoying, Snoke had no explanation for his existence, Rose was annoying, and Rey is too powerful. There may be some other problems, but I don't care about them enough to fix them. So let's first talk about the things that need no fixing. Holdo is dead, and the gambling planet was a subplot that only existed in the last movie and can be easily ignored. Boom! 2/3 of the problems already solved. So up next is another easily fixable problem. Rose! Just give her the Jar Jar treatment and give her a very small role, preferably a no-speaking role. Now, I didn't hate Rose, but I also didn't hate Jar Jar, so I'm not a good judge of character. But many other people hated her, so get rid of that bitch. That may disappoint you if you're a Rose fan, but I'm not sure you exist. And hey, maybe in 10 years someone will make a theory about how she's a secret Sith Lord. Now on to the next problems that are the biggest and hardest to fix. Okay, let's first explain why this is a problem. Remember Return of the Jedi? Good times. This leaves Luke as the only force sensitive person in the galaxy, or at least the only one with any training, because... So where did this extremely powerful magic space golem come from? We also didn't have a backstory for Palpatine. Yeah, before him there wasn't a massive universe with decades of canon and thousands of years of legends, and also Palpatine had so much character in a couple of minutes that it is amazing that he didn't develop stage 2 diabetes with the amount of scenery he is chewing. Back in the 80s, Star Wars was a blank slate, and that's just not the case anymore. You can just end the trilogy with a happy ending and start the next one in the exact same position as the last one began without an explanation. That would be like making the prequels and not having any mention of Palpatine, not explaining why Vader turned to the dark side, and having a happy end. Some people to this day still don't know that the First Order is not the Empire and that the Resistance is not the Rebellion. And I don't blame them. The sequel trilogy has almost given them nothing to figure that out. Snoke is supposed to be the cause of everything that happened so far, like the rise of the First Order and the fall of Kylo Ren to the dark side, but we got nothing about him. Also, he is supposed to be wise, and then he puts Luke's lightsaber next to him, doesn't figure out Kylo Ren is going to kill him while reading his mind, and has no protections against it. This kind of slaps the character in the face. You were reading the motherfucker's mind moments before he killed you, you fucking idiot. Now all of this has some people believe that Snoke is not really dead, but in fact used the same trick as Luke and was a force projection in the throne room. A very very convincing one. Ew. But since in this video we're not contradicting anything from The Last Jedi, that is off the table. And with Palpatine coming back, there isn't really much room for him anymore. So, imagine Kylo Ren, now the ruler of the First Order, is sitting on Snoke's throne when a hologram of Snoke appears. The hologram congratulates Kylo for killing him and taking his own route, as was Snoke's plan for a while now. He tells Kylo that he was never the real big bad, but that he was just working for someone else. That the First Order was just a puppet state and subject to the whims of the real bad guy. And that Snoke wanted to free the First Order from his tyranny by severing their connection. And this bad guy was Emperor Palpatine Darth Sidious. Or if you want to make Snoke less heroic, just make it so that he wants his legacy to be his and not Palpatine's. Palpatine basically sent the First Order out to conquer the galaxy while he recovers from being yeeted. And now, no one in the First Order answers to Palpatine anymore, so he is coming to get him now. And then Snoke mockingly wishes Kylo good luck and disappears. So now Snoke is still wise for intentionally dying and not just a lamer version of Palpatine, since he had a plan. We know that he was most likely trained by Palpatine himself, and we could make the assumption that his injuries were caused by Palpatine's lightning training. We know where the First Order came from and how it got so big, all because of Palpatine, and we have a reason why Palpatine is coming out now instead of later or earlier, all without taking away Kylo Ren's independence and Snoke still being dead. You! So if you don't think Rey's power is a problem, let me ask you something. What are the most impressive things that you see and who does them, Force-wise? In the prequels, I would argue that it's when Darth Vader steps off the operating table and crushes spherical droids with the Force and causes the entire room to shake. Now I don't need to tell you that crossing the sphere is pretty hard and the room looked pretty big. Also, it was an unfocused outlashing with the Force. Now this is being done by Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, the person with the most Force potential in the history of the galaxy, and he is being boosted by an incredible dark side rage. In the original trilogy, I would say it's Yoda lifting the X-Wing out of the bog. He's one of the most powerful Jedi ever, the Grand Master of the entire Jedi Order, and has more than 900 years of experience. And all it took was a little bit of concentration. In the sequels, it's Rey lifting like half a mountain with barely any conscious effort. I mean, look at his face. She has no fucking idea what's going on. Now this is Rey, someone who literally just discovered that the Force was real a couple of days ago. What? How? All Anakin could do at this point was fly a pod really well, and all Luke could do was trust the Force enough to hit the Death Star. We may be a couple movies in, but it's not a couple years like in the others. It's still like the same week. Even after a couple of years, Luke still had real trouble pulling his lightsaber out of the snow, like my penis size away. And by that I mean, it's not very far at all. These boys are fucking Skywalkers. And if this power affected everyone in the story the same, it wouldn't be a real narrative problem, since you can still have a lot of tension if the villain is also really powerful. But Rey can stomp Kylo into the ground and Snoke is dead. So you need a new big bad. So let's bring back the good old Palpy, the person whose death is what gave the previous movies meaning. Oh well, that's something for future Batterman to complain about. So unless you're gonna do Rey vs Palpatine, you can't create suspense with a physical conflict. And even then, Palpatine should be able to completely body Rey, which would not really be a conflict, just more of a slapstick routine. And I swear to my left nutsack that if Rey is even close to a match to the Emperor, putting her on the same level as Darth Vader, I will burn whatever I'm watching the movie on, fly to J.J. Abrams' house and leave a tiny, delicate turd on his pillow, or I'll just complain about it online. So how do we create a satisfying battle in a situation where the power levels of the characters are so far apart? Use the Superman method. What? Okay. See, Superman stories are not at their best when the question is, can Superman beat this boy in a fist fight? Because the answer to that is almost always yes. Yes, he can. Superman is great when you give him problems he can't punch his way out of, like a mental dilemma. So here's what I propose for Rey. Rey is possessed by Anakin's Force Ghost. Now I don't mean by that Anakin is literally controlling her, but that he's helping her in Force-related situations subconsciously. Rey does not have a lot of stuff going on when it comes to character development, story or themes, but one thing she does have going on is that she kind of has an identity crisis. Her figuring out that her power does not come from herself but from someone with a really complicated legacy would give that conflict just a big boost. But why Anakin? Anakin was the chosen one. He was supposed to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. And he did, at least before the sequel trilogy, but with Palpatine still being alive, that is proven to not have happened at the end of Return of the Jedi. So Anakin's story is not yet fulfilled. But, you know, because Force Ghosts are not allowed to directly intervene with the living world, he has to use Rey. And basically push the edge of what not intervening means. Having Rey and Anakin and probably Kylo destroying Palpatine once and for all would not only solve the problem of the prophecy of the Chosen One and fulfill it, you could also have like a really deep conversation about that just because you got help doesn't mean your accomplishments have no meaning, and that your identity is never built in isolation but always together with other people. That even if you think you are never truly alone. Next! Look how they massacred my boy. Luke was one of the most optimistic characters in Star Wars. He risked life and limb just because he sensed a little bit of good in one of the most evil men in the galaxy. He knew he could bring him back to light even if everyone advised him not to. And that decision put one of the biggest nails in the coffin of the Empire. Now flash forward to The Last Jedi where Luke goes to Ben and senses darkness, then gets the urge to make his lightsaber penetrate Ben's young supple body. Some might say that Luke was just caught in a moment of weakness, but to that I say, bullshit! He had to walk to Ben's hut for at least a couple minutes with the intent to see if he could find darkness inside Ben's mind, so you would think that the Jedi Grand Master would be able to prepare himself for darkness. Then he had to read the mind, grab his lightsaber and activate it. Luke is a Jedi, a religion based mainly on self-control, and he couldn't even keep his lightsaber off. Not in a heated moment, but where there was no direct danger to himself or anyone else. And this is 20 years into his training. So unless you make it so that Luke only values who a person is on a small subconscious level, this makes no sense. And after that, he just fucks off to die on a religiously significant planet, the First Jedi Temple, while he knows that the galaxy is in extreme danger. Also, he doesn't want to be found, but then he does leave a map to his location. Genius! He just gives up in the hour of need, and when he does confront Kylo, and Kylo asks whether he was going to save him or not, he says no! What the fuck? He seems to believe that Kylo is irredeemable. This young, clearly conflicted, or at least someone with a lot of light in a man, is irredeemable to the man who thought Darth Vader was redeemable. And this is his nephew. This makes it sound like modern Luke is saying that saving Vader was a mistake, or at least something not worth repeating. Now this is the hardest to fix while not slapping the people that liked Last Jedi on the dick. Mostly because it was so definitive, and this was the part a lot of fans had a huge problem with, but also there were some that really liked it. So I'm just gonna do what I like, and if you feel like this is ball tickling to the Last Jedi fans, leave a hate comment and give this video more engagement to make it do better. Thank you. So the solution for me is redeem Kylo Ren and make his redemption thanks to something Luke did. That Luke's schooling of Kylo Ren on the Salt Planet had an effect on Kylo in a way Luke knew it would. That showing him that the power of the dark side is not far greater than that of the light, and that the dark has left him completely alone and severely unhappy. For some extra spice you can make Luke's Force Ghost whisper into Kylo's ear throughout the movie, and when he inevitably sees how broken the dark side has made Palpatine, I mean being thrown down a reactor shaft, then exploding, and then the entire Death Star blowing up, must leave some pretty nasty scars, that Kylo sees that the dark side can't give him anything the light can't, except for maybe epic lightning powers. It keeps Luke's dark period dark, but gives his death meaning and redeems Luke. Vader was redeemed by Luke, Luke by Ben, and vice versa.
Again, it's like poetry, sort of they rhyme.
And when Kylo, now Ben again, dies because, let's be honest, he's gonna die, he can thank Luke, and Luke can be like, no, thank you for making me believe again. And everyone can have a nice cry or whatever. I mean, let's just assume that he's going to die to make sure that there are no more Skywalkers left after the end of the Skywalker saga. So are they gonna do any of this? No, these ideas are probably not as good as I think they are, and they can't rip it off anymore since the movie's already kind of out. But I needed to barf out my ideas in order to make my brain stop complaining after 2 years. So are they gonna do any along the same spirit as this? I don't think so, because from the reaction that they gave to the outrage caused by The Last Jedi indicated to me that they didn't get what people were upset about, and that they also did not expect the magnitude of nerd rage that is within Star Wars fans. I mean, last time they made a trilogy they didn't like, Star Wars fans ruined the lives of almost everyone involved. So it's not like there's an historical precedent for this. So I would say Disney got off lightly. For now. Subscribe!